Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
And the winner is, Dorfidoodle. Oops, I did it again.
Hello. I hit it like I had to hit my mic like. Hi everybody. It's me, Charlie, and I gotta close out of the window before the music starts again. Hi. I'm a maid today. Congratulations. I'm sexy. Would have guessed. Anyway, I am back. It's Wednesday. I am letting you guys know that there's a poll up in the Discord. I am thinking about streaming like one day a week on YouTube. Talked about it with Blue on the last stream, but always were, are, I can't remember tenses, neither can I. I always were. I always were sexy. My dumb lady brain. I was talking to my stepson, I was like, I'm too old to draft. Again. I was too young to draft the first time, too old to draft now. And I was like, well, not yet. I'm not 36 yet. One more year. And then my husband went, well, Pete Hexet thinks you have a dumb lady brain, so I think you're okay. I was like, fuck. You're right. Still got a little bit of a cough lingering from that cold I've had. It's rough, buddy. But anyway, there's a poll up on the Discord. Go vote in it. I'm thinking about doing one day a week on YouTube on Wednesdays, because like that's like the most outlier day for me of like what days do best on stream. But I'm gonna keep looking at the numbers and see how things go. I don't know, I just figured I'd stream one day a week on YouTube. I can't make any money off of it. I'm not allowed to get monetized, but why not try? Why not try to talk to people even though I'm not monetized? So anyway, there's that. I did a Hope Core. I am now thinking about doing another Hope Core because I was listening to a song and I saw somebody put just like one video of like no cuts, just start, stop, singular shot. Of like some protests that were happening in Portland, and I was like, I should put together a Hope Corps of all of the protests. So probably going to be spending my day tomorrow doing that, which is going to be fun. I'm actually looking. Not gonna lie, I'm actually looking forward to doing some editing. It's been tough doing editing because I don't have my desktop. So like all the things I usually do, I can't do any of them. Like I can't work on my vlog. I can't like edit things out here. I can't do a lot of stuff and it's very frustrating. So I've been doing what I could on my Chromebook inside, but also on that I'm limited. Like I can't send files back and forth because they're either too big or they won't download or there's like a bazillion reasons. So also like TikTok Studio sucks and like you can't put captions on something when like you can't put captions on anything. You can't do the same shit you can in regular TikTok. Like when you go to upload something on TikTok, you get like a whole options of things, right? When you go to TikTok Studio, you can upload the video and you can put a sound on it. Can't do anything else. You can move the sound. You can move the sound, but that's it. That's all you can do. And I'm like, this sucks. So like, sorry, I was getting caught. I'm like, all right. I'm like, this sucks. So I'm working with what I can, how I can. I'll get there eventually. Fingers are so raw right now. So today I was gonna sneeze. Today I had a bunch of appointments to go to for both my kids and myself. Bunch of all kinds of things running around, and then at like 1 o'clock, I was like, you know what I feel like doing right now? Landscaping. It's kind of a nice day, it was like 60 something degrees out, low wind. I was right in the sun. So it was like my perfect vibe. I've decided there's this like retaining wall in the front of my house, and in front of the retaining wall, the previous owners had put like those like heavy river rocks, like the round ones, like the pebbly kind, all in that, and I hate it. I hate it so much. And then under those rocks, there's like this like tarp that like it's supposed to stop like grass from growing. I hate that too. So I ripped that out, and now I'm trying to remove all the rocks, and my fingers are all rubbed raw from like scratching at the dirt and picking stuff up. But I did find a snake. I have to post a picture of it in the Discord. I was very excited. I thought it was a lizard. Kind of bummed it wasn't. It was a snake. It was a northern brown snake, is what I found out. It gave me a spooker. Well, okay, so I picked it up and it was fine. It was really chill. And then I went to take a picture of it and it started like snapping at me. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put you down, buddy. We're just gonna go down. It's fine. So I put him down and they're chill. But yeah, that's I did that until like 4:30. Then I went upstairs and got in the shower. My hair is still kind of stringy from it. And then I came down here and I ate my dinner while I was waiting for the song to finish. So that's Bells! Oh my god! Hi, it's been so long. I was just talking about doing landscaping and I found a snake. How are you doing, boo boo? How's the puppy? Don't tell me about you. Tell me about the dog. Okay. You love snakes? I love snakes. I love all animals. Except for like trying to think what I was like, no. Oh, there was this like red spider that had like a really fat back. Like it had like it was a pog, okay? It was a pog. It had a yet, if you will. And it like bootied up into like a little hole and I was like, no, 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 she's doing well. Oh good, good, I'm glad. Yeah, I straight up was like, I'll move around you. That's fine. I'm not gonna dig here. We're cool. We're cool. So yeah, I basically did that for like 3 hours while I'm listening to this book. Okay, I have to talk about this book to somebody. My God, I am reading this book. Oh, I'm listening to this audiobook. It's called The Hurricane Wars. Here, let me pull it up. It's this book about a war. Here, it looks like that. It's a book about like a war, and there's like this girl on one side and this guy on the other, and it's got like every romantasy stereotype stacked into one in like a book that's trying to be Way of Kings, but it isn't working. Like they're not giving me the Way of Kings experience where like I get to learn about the world through basic conversation and structure and scenery. It's instead giving me, here's the problems. These people are fighting. She's actually a missing princess. Oh my god, they're falling in love. Oh my god, she actually has to marry him now. What? Oh, there's like a doomsday thing that we have to solve together by getting married. It's every trope. Every trope. And I'm like, I hate this. I hate this. I'm 10 hours in and I'm like, this is the worst. But now I have to finish it because there's only 6 hours left. It's like there's even a part, I shit you not. There's even a part where a guy, like one of the guys who's like the security for the prince, is like, "Hey, have you like maybe tried complimenting her or like asking her hobbies?" And the prince is like, "Hobbies?" And I'm like, "This is Beauty and the Beast. This is just Beauty and the Beast. What is happening?" It's just and like things are written as though they happened like 10 chapters ago or 2 books ago and instead it's like it was the previous chapter. It was the previous chapter and like every chapter there's a new secret revealed. Everyone, like the first chapter you find out who the bad guy is and you find out about the war. The second chapter is like she goes to like get a way to make her power stronger. The third chapter is she gets like uh captured by her previous homeland that she didn't know was her homeland. The fourth chapter is her finding out she's a missing princess. The fifth chapter is like her going back to war. The sixth chapter is her going back to her land. The seventh chapter is her like getting her role. The eighth chapter is like, oh, you have to marry this guy now. And now they're in love. And now they're in love and the book's not even done. And I'm like, this is so annoying. I feel like it's just trying to build up to the sex. And I don't want that. I don't want the sex. I want plot. Okay? I don't watch porn for the sex. I watch it for the plot. Like, come on. Unintended. But I'm getting so frustrated because I'm just like, oh, great. So predictable. What's gonna happen next? They're gonna get married. They're gonna fall in love. And it's like, yeah, they are. They are going to. And I'm like, there's dragons. So, like, we are covering every aspect of it. The only thing I like is that it's based around, like, South Asian cultures, Southeast Asian cultures. And I'm like, I'm here for that. I think that's cool. I'm open to that. What I am not open to is this, like, forced proximity, forced marriage, enemies to lovers, dragon trope. Okay. I want to vomit. And also their magic only works together to save everyone. Like they have to use their magic together. What happens to work already together? They just have to figure out how to do it in order to save the world. And I'm like, so anyway, I'm probably going to put that down and move on to another book series very soon. I still have to read a book for my book club about like elections and their consequences. And I was thinking about doing, oh, if you guys don't know what Hoopla is, I highly recommend it. Hoopla. It's a app where you can connect to your local library and listen to books and read right on your phone. I really like it. What did I pick out that I was like, I really want to read from the darkness? Oh, the Progressive Era. It's a book, The Captivating Guide in a Period in American History Filled with Political Reforms and Social Activism. So this is like it's 1877 to 1929, which we just covered on the stream like last 2 weeks ago now. Um so it basically goes like through the Great War up until the Great Depression, and a lot of it focuses on like Teddy Roosevelt, but also like the people, like the People's Party out of Kansas and stuff like that. As well as like Teddy Roosevelt like breaking up trusts and like implementing uh safety regulations for food, socialist projects. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that as soon as I get done this book. I have 62% of the book done, so I've literally got exactly 6 hours left because I stopped at the 10-hour and 15-minute mark, and I have 6 hours and 15 minutes and 10 seconds left. So that's where we're at. Yeah, I think that's the end, like, personal. I'm still getting over this cold. Yeah, what did I do yesterday? I don't know what I did yesterday. I feel like I did a bunch, but I'm also like, I don't think I did anything. I think I did chores. I think I did a lot of laundry. I had to catch up on that. What else do I? Or what else is in my favorites? Because Remarkably Bright Creatures. I've heard excellent things about that. It's about an octopus solving the disappearance of a woman's son. And the Lights of Prague. That looked interesting. Always down for like. And then there's the entire Touch of Darkness series. So like, the Touch of Darkness series is half Persephone, half Hades. Every other book is every other one. So like, the first one is Persephone's point of view. The second one is Hades. The third, and it just goes on from there. But it's not at the same exact time. Um, and it's about their entirety of the relationship told from like uh the perspective of like modern day. Like they've got cell phones, they've got guns. um she's hate or Persephone's a journalist. At least I think that's this one. There's a few books, Hades and Persephone, where I'm like, is this the one where she's a journalist and they fuck in the office, or is this the one where she figures out how to use her vine power? It's very different. Again, I don't read for the sex, I read for the plot. So, I gotta finish. I gotta finish my Hunger Games deep dive. I got sad. I got so sad. I was reading through it and I was on the last book, and I got to just before they went into battle in the capital, and I was like, I can't listen to anymore. Like, one of the characters my son is named after, and it's really, really hard both to like get attached to like the character my son is out after, and then also picture that character's death with my son's face, and I'm like, this sucks. This is awful. How do I get past this part? So I struggle busting past the last Hunger Games book, but we're almost there. We are almost to the point where I can re-listen to the entire series and go from there. Maybe I just gotta like steel myself, like power through it. After Sunrise on the Reaping, that was so hard to do because like Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was sad at some parts. The second Hunger Games book, also sad. The third Hunger Games book, sad. Sunrise on the Reaping was just devastating. Just absolutely devastating. Unlimited power. It's just so that's where I'm at in my book series, my book collection. But I have until the end of November to read that elections book, so we'll see. And then eventually I'll get to finishing. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, today we have a few things I want to cover. One, I want to catch up on the news. I have not watched anything since like day. Even Monday, I was like, I haven't watched Hassan. I haven't like I've barely been on YouTube. I think I watched like 6 minutes of a Stephen Colbert monologue today. And I was like, I'll get there. I really want to get through these tasks. Which I did do. And I'm proud of myself for. Not as proud as I should be. But getting there. Also, oh, good news. I get paid out from Twitch in November because I finally reached the $50 threshold, which means I finally might be able to rebuy the or buy a new power supply for my desktop, which means my desktop might be fixed. We're still unsure, but because the power supply isn't working, don't know if that's the problem or if it's something else and the power supply is just a secondary issue. So, but it's like $50 and I'm like, damn. All right. I'll get it when I can. So hopefully I can get that fixed and finish there. But yeah, I want to get to a couple of news things. There's been like a few things popping up on my feed. I am going to have to refer to some stuff. We are going to do some Love is Blind. Okay. Okay. Gotta finish it because we started watching, but I don't want to watch it without Blue. I really don't. Trump is demolishing the White House. There's like a bunch of legal stuff. There's Mike Johnson's getting sued for not swearing in the last representative of Arizona who is going to be the 218th signature on the Epstein file vote. And what I can't wait for is for when that happens, because then we're going to see all the people who vote no release the Epstein files. And it's going to be devastating for their career. And I think they know that, which is why they're trying to keep their mouth shut, trying to keep the government out of business. But I will say one thing. Um, they don't have the money to pay the troops, and the troops haven't been paid. And we're starting to get to the point where the troops might coup. Like, they have starving children at home. You know, they have bills they need to pay. They have wives and husbands they need to take care of. And instead, they're picking up garbage and spreading mulch on flower beds while not even getting paid for it. And I know if it was me, I'd quit. No, you can't sign me up for that. You took me away from my job. You took me away from my family and friends. For what? For what? For what? Absolutely nothing. And it's just like, I would quit. I would straight up be like, nah, lock me up for treason. I'm done here. I quit. I'm putting in my termination letter. Here's my 2 weeks. Fuck my contract. All right. What do I have to do to get out of it? I will do it. Okay. Because like I'm not doing that. I'm not putting my family at that risk. All right. So if I'm like that, I wonder who else in the military is like that. And I think that's part of the reason why Trump wanted to pay them, because he doesn't want them to coup. But they've been pretty fucking mean to those soldiers. Let me tell you, you should not be calling anybody fat, overweight, out of shape. Like, they are there to defend this country, and you're just insulting them. Like, fuck you, dude. Not only are you hurting them before they finish their service, but you're going to hurt them after they finish their service, too, because veterans get no benefits whatsoever. They get promised the world, and then they get no help, and it pisses me off. I hate the way this country treats its veterans. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway, here's Jon Stewart for No King's Day. Which, are you gonna work? Right. Okay, I pause it. What a great picture to pause it on. I was at No Kings. It was great. It was super peaceful. I loved every moment of it. I am looking forward to the next one. And I hope I can get in contact with the people that like run the event to see if I can pitch them a few ideas or to at least show up to a meeting to propose a few ideas because I think I have a few locations that would be good. I'm so jealous of the states that got to have dance parties. Okay. I wanted to do the cha cha slide. I would have loved to have been Alexander Hamilton fucking Macarena in. Like, that would have been so much fun. I'm not saying what we did wasn't fun or great. I'm just saying it could have been better. We could have done more. And so I'm going to aim to push for that because the more happiness we spread around, the better this is going to go. And my example to my stepkids was hippies. You remember the hippies of the 70s? They did like played music, they smoked drugs, they like hung out naked, and they looked so ridiculous compared to the National Guard and the military at the time. And the contrasting perspectives were something that put regular Americans at odds. And I'm just like, wow, this is the same thing, but more fun. Also, Spirit Halloween is going to make bank this year. Oh my God, they're going to make so much money. They could not have picked a better year to be in business. Oh my God. Anyway, here's Jon Stewart. I figure out which water freak it out. What? Muted. I'm doing a Minecraft challenge. What's the challenge? Play Java Edition without criticizing Java Edition? Ooh, that's hard mode. Oh my God. I'm not gonna lie. Mosh Pit would be really fun right now. Straight up. I'm down. I haven't been in a mosh pit since I was pregnant. It's been like over 2 years. Almost 3 years. So I miss it. I miss it. I miss throwing one of my VODs to YouTube, and it was like, you can't play Whitney Houston Star Spangled Banner. And I was like, okay, well, can I see if I can find a free version? And it was like, here's 16 free versions of the Star Spangled Banner. So I just input that over. So now it actually looks better than it did when I did it. So props to YouTube for that. I only wish I had saluted longer. But I'm still waiting for my other YouTube video to like wrap up. The No Kings protest in all of its glory is over on YouTube's as well, and I'm gonna be working on it. It's really difficult to not criticize Java Edition because it's just so ridiculous. That sounds like you're criticizing it by calling it lost.
That is not.
Gotta start a new world. That's your own fault. Congratulations, you played yourself. Oh my God, I don't know who was there for the stream, but my favorite guy was somebody who took a picture of me, and then I was like, I ran into him a few times, and then we were crossing the street. He was right behind me, and he he ran into a buddy of his, and he was like, "Oh, there's my favorite communist Marxist," and I was like, "Oh my God, this guy is in his like late 60s." Okay, there were so many boomers out there, and like pre-generate, like somewhere in between Gen X and Boomer, whatever that generation is. That is what was there mostly. It was Vietnam vets. It was a little younger than Vietnam vets. And it was like Gen X. And then there was me, which is a millennial. There were a few Gen Z and Gen Alpha there. And it was pretty great. It was wonderful. It was, I am still jealous we didn't have a dance party. But when Philly had a parade for the Eagles, they shit set on fire and somebody licked like horse poop. Like, I can't tell you how calm these protests are compared to a sports team winning a sports game. Just for the record.
Country has too many angry old white people. Says, hold on.
I think when the old white people are angry, that's when you should listen. I mean, you should listen before that, but I'm just saying. I'll take it. I'll take it. Like, no. I love when my stream deck is like, you know what? Maybe I won't work this. See? old white people. I'm sorry. There are very, very few white people I know who actually have rhythm. Okay? Very few. Most of them are trained dancers. I might be one of the few that barely has any rhythm. Okay? You guys have seen me. What do you expect? Old white people.
And while those performances were more joyful than provocative, I think we can all agree about the effectiveness.
Yeah, but he wasn't talking about them. No, I'm just saying it's a callback to the Fox News thing about earlier, you know? Because, like, the whole conversation kind of talked about Fox News being afraid or being upset about old white people showing up somewhere. I think that's how it started, right? I'm already baked. We're getting there. I just meant it was a callback. I'm explaining the joke too long now. Ah.
Of this
I'm trying to think of, like, everybody's role. Like, if Trump was king, what is, like, everybody's right? So, like, there's always like a court jester or like lady waiting or like just regular counsel or whatever they call the dude. Like, there's always like roles to fill inside a court. And I'm like, okay, who would be the jester, right? Because the jester is allowed to say things king that most people aren't allowed to say, and also just like kept around for funsies. And also, he was like a gossip, and he would tell the king a bunch of gossip. No jester? No, I think JD Vance might be the jester. Trump hates jokes. It's true. Yeah, no jester. Because nobody in there could hurt his ego. Or he wouldn't let anybody hurt his ego. I don't think. Melania? No, she doesn't. Yeah, I was thinking maybe Mike Johnson, but he's more like a, I don't know. He feels like thing a king puts his, what is, like an ottoman, like the little box thing, is that like an ottoman? Fucking White House correspondent dinner in 2014 ruined him and us. Yeah, he was so upset. Or like, remember in 20, was that the same, year Obama made the joke about like, no, Trump hasn't moved into the White House yet because it doesn't have his name on it or something to that effect? Was that year? Because I think that's what he's doing with the ballroom.
Chuck, no, just so I'm clear.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pissed about the ballroom because I'm just like, one, you're hurting the rest of the frame of the building. You're not just like hurting one wall. That entire structure is older than you, sir. And like, you're hurting the foundation, you're hurting everything. I hope he isn't I hope he's terminal and never sees it finished. I hope so too. Same with the arch. But like, you hurt that building so bad that some of that shit, it's not gonna line up well. You have older types of wood and siding matching to today's modern things, right? There is no way there's not gonna be an issue with that seam. And it's just, I hope the next president just flatten the entire White House at that point. A real president would have taken it down piece by piece to preserve it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Museums or other projects, historical preservation could have used those historical windows and trim and furniture. Yep. It makes me so upset that that's what that was. And I hope I'm not the only one that's pissed off about that. Like, I hope that's not just like a leftist thing. Like, I really do, like, that's a piece of history, man. Could you imagine? Oh, it's probably gonna come next, but if somebody like was like, let's carve down the Washington Monument, or like, let's get rid of the Lincoln Memorial. It's just, it feels so gross. Like, these are our historical monuments. Talking about preserving like DC, and then you're going down and tear down the White House. Like, that thing, it pisses me off. During a government shutdown, yeah. You know he didn't hire government contractors too to do that work. I bet he hired like some union that he's not going to pay. ADHD tonight. My water cup from earlier, or my water cup before I came, my water cup when I came out here tonight with dinner. My water cup from earlier in the day when I was out here. Doesn't explain them being them on his left hand, LOL. Yeah, I know. Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure it doesn't cause a gangrene.
That foundation is so bad, and I made a tweet about how it looks like the shade Carolyn Levitt uses. That was good. That was good. I got my mouse. My mouse said no thank you. All right, I want to the White House. I do want to.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump wants to be a king.
Just let me get mad for a minute, guys. Just let me get mad. Just a little bit.
It's the best explanation for everything he's been doing just in recent days. Just look at what he's doing right now to the White House. That is, of course, the people's house. It's our house as Americans, as citizens. There it is. The residence of every president since John Adams in 1800. And that is more destruction the White House has seen since the troops for the British crown burned it down in the War of 1812. Trump wants the White House to be a kingly palace, and so he is doing his own renovation. He's ripping up the East Wing to build a grand gilded ballroom unilaterally. No one in Congress was asked to appropriate funds for this. In fact, when I saw the plans announced, I assumed they'd smuggled it into the one big beautiful bill because, of course, they could have done that. They could have gotten congressional authorization. But no one even got a say.
We are going to make and build a ballroom, which they've wanted for probably 100 years at the White House, and it'll be a world-class, beautiful ballroom.
For 150 years, presidents, administrations, and White House staff have longed for a large event space on the White House complex that can hold substantially more guests than currently.
No, because the White House wasn't a place to have parties, okay? This isn't fucking Buckingham Palace or Versailles. The White House was a place of work and governance. Want to go have a party? Go back to your fucking home. Go have a celebration in Camp David or fuck whatever. That's our fucking house. Fuck you, dude. Oh my god. And like, I guarantee you he hired like a union and will not pay them. Or he hired a bunch of like his friends, just people who would take out the work who didn't know how to remove those things. Obviously, they took a bulldozer. They're freaking
allowed. There's going to be one of the best anywhere in the world. There won't be anything like it.
Excavator.
Actually.
I mean, it was pretty big before, so we seem to do okay as a country with it. Trump announced he was going to do that at the end of July. It was set to cost $200 million, which he said he would get from private donors, including Comcast, the current parent company of our network. Now, the cost has already swelled to $250 million.
Yeah.
And by the way, no one talks about this when they report on this, but I just have to point out, there's a law in the books. It's from the 19th century. It's been updated multiple times. It's called the Anti-Deficiency Act, and it very expressly forbids spending money on government projects that have not been appropriated by Congress. Like, pretty black and white. So it's truly not clear this is at all legal.
It's not.
Trump also claimed that the new construction would not interfere with the existing structure. Well, he lied. Less than 3 months later, there are excavators tearing down the existing structure.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That frame, those windows. I fucking hate this man. He ruins everything. He ruined Atlantic City. He ruined New York. He's ruining the White House. He's ruining historical things, and for fucking what? He's gonna be dead. Because he's so old. He's gonna die. And I hope he dies before it's finished. Fuck you, dude. Seriously. Oh my god, the foundation. Like, you guys don't understand. My house is almost as old as the White House, okay? And I know how bad that shit is. Over, under, the money comes from unscrupulous sources. Yep. It's just like, I know how weak the walls are. I know that, like, I know the wallpaper layers that are probably under it. Like, they wrecked it like a Gen X house flip. It's so bad. And oh. For what? Like, for what? For a fucking ballroom?
And not just like cosmetic facades being removed. The entire eastern side of the White House is just gone, demolished. All, we should note, in the middle of a government shutdown, while more than 1 million civil servants go without pay. But presumably the person operating the backhoe is getting paid, because Trump can apparently hit up his donors to bankroll the demolition of the literal edifice of our democratic government. In this latest image from the Washington Post, you can see the entire eastern side of the White House is just gone. Most of the East Wing. Why? Because that's what he wants to do.
You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money.
Like,
Yeah, it reminds you of money.
Why don't you just go over to fucking Arlington and shit on those fucking graves, you fucking cunt? Like, fuck you. Seriously. Piece of shit motherfucker. I am so angry. Like, how dare you? I need a moment. I need a moment. I need a moment. Get it out of my system. Just let me do it. I do hope the next president just smashes it and makes the Rose Garden bigger. I hope that they're able to salvage some of it. I know that's going to be near impossible because those walls, I can't tell you enough how little those walls are held together. Put in federally protected plants, LOL. Yeah, and bat garden or bat houses. God, fuck him, man. Fuck him and his stupid fucking tacky ass shit.
Did you know that it's illegal to say
we should kill the president? Label me a dissident. It's only American to wanna kill the president.
What a fucking dumbass piece of shit, man. Fuck him, for real.
Yo, we should kill the president. Label me a dissident. It's only American to wanna kill the president. This is how the world ends. He's killing all of my best friends. I don't think I'll be content till someone kills the president. I don't wanna believe it, but I think that it bears repeating.
What is wrong with him? Why would he just be like, you know what? I don't need anybody to survey this. I'm just gonna tear it down. Like, who the fuck are you? Did you have anybody?
We should shoot a billionaire, film it, put it on the air, drag him by his Turkish hair. No one cares. We should shoot a billionaire.
It's such dumb shit. Like, I wish there was a single fucking goddamn Republican who would stand up for fucking once.
they talk openly about killing us every day in their campaign ads, budget proposals, executive orders, and their rambling misspelled tweets? They revel in violence. Why shouldn't we?
Oh, hello, filthy, miserable dirt peasants. I can't seem to find my very impressive castle. Maybe you've seen it?
We should kill the president. We should kill the president. Yeah, we should kill the president. We should kill the president. Yeah, we should kill the president. We should kill the president. Yeah, we should kill the president. We should kill the president. We should kill the president. Yeah, we should kill the president. We should kill the president. Yeah, we should kill the president. 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 We should kill the president.
Like, no, we don't host parties there, and they don't want to get shot by Trump supporters because they're cowards. They are fucking cowards, and the Trump supporters are too. God, any Republican / conservative I knew that were like my parents, my grandparents, my family, I'd hope they'd be just as fucking angry as me right now, but they're probably not. Probably fucking not, and that's what pisses me off is that I know that people are so up Trump's ass that, like, they just want to be like, yeah, go ahead, tear down a historical fucking monument. Like, what's next? The Statue of Liberty? Like, fuck, dude. Fuck off, for real. his ass needs to be impeached. Like, this is a fucking problem. Like, are we ever gonna get 25th Amendment? God. My mouse isn't working. Tolerating that. I don't know. Don't give me ideas. Yeah, like they watch me. They're one of my 0.5 viewers. I don't know if I can watch any more of I gotta finish the video.
Right? Who is paying for it after all? Are we sure all that money is going to be tracked carefully? This is, of course, how a monarch acts, right? And this is just one small but very illustrative example that absolutely pales next to Trump's most kingly urges, like
I hope they put in a swimming pool or a pond, like those like level ponds that don't have any that just have the grass, like a little lagoon, and then they put like protected fish in it.
For instance, and this is not hyperbolic, the urge to kill anyone he wants anywhere, anytime.
President Trump also shared video of the strike on the submarine that he says was carrying a large amount of fentanyl. He said the attack killed 2 people on board the vessel while 2 others survived. This was at least the 5th strike the Trump administration has carried out in international waters against alleged drug traffickers. Critics have argued the strikes are illegal and circumvent due process laws, but President Trump has vowed to continue them.
Those killings are illegal. I mean, absent some new information, absent some new legal rationale, based on everything we do know, they're illegal.
God, I hope he fucking heart attack, man. God.
Don't take it from me, take it from this conservative Republican senator.
Do you believe that these strikes against these suspected drug boats are legal?
No, they go against all of our tradition. You know, when you kill someone, you should know if you're not at war, not in a declared war, you really need to know someone's name at least. You have to accuse them of something. You have to present evidence. So all of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime.
Yeah, that's extrajudicial killing. Now, there's lots of new developments in this story. We're going to be discussing them later in the show with Senator Mark Kelly. One of the big developments in that story is that the president of Colombia is now accusing Trump of murdering a fisherman from his country in one of those strikes last month. And Trump's response was saying he would cut aid and impose new tariffs on Colombian imports.
We need to be tried. United States, members of the UN or whatever the fuck it's called need to step the fuck up and stop treating the United States like a baby. Stop it. Just fucking, you're not the end all be all. You have other options. Explore them. God, just fucking break up with us and put us on trial. I'm sick of this shit.
Punishing critics of his extrajudicial killings with a new kingly tariff. Not authorized by Congress, just because he wants to slap it on. Then, of course, there's Trump's use of his pardon power. Now, that's one of the presidential powers in the U.S. Constitution that is quite literally derived from the king's privileges. And actually, there was a really fascinating debate at the time of the founding about it, with many founding fathers worried it might be abused by a corrupt, tyrannical president. This week, Trump used that vast power in the middle of his term to commute the sentence of convicted fraudster and former Republican Congressman George Santos. Trump loves his ability to pardon people because it is the closest thing in the American Constitution to a kingly power. And he's always reminding people he can exercise that privilege without restraint, even for, say, convicted child sex traffickers.
Ghislaine Maxwell serving 20 years in prison for sex trafficking. Is clemency on the table for her in exchange for testimony?
I'm allowed to do it, but nobody's asked me to do it. I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about the case, but I know I have the right to do it. I have the right to give pardons.
Now, we all saw how Trump unilaterally pardoned every January 6th insurrectionist, even the ones who assaulted cops, who beat their brains in, right? Even though people close to Trump, including Vice President J.D. Vance, said, of course, there should be no clemency for violent insurrectionists, just like a day or two before he granted that exact clemency. Get this. Today, we learned that one of those January 6 rioters that Trump pardoned, seen here rifling through Senator Ted Cruz's desk, has been arrested for threatening to assassinate Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic House Minority Leader. And Trump is still demanding restitution for one of those people who were charged for their role in January 6th, himself. You're really not going to believe this one, and you haven't encountered it yet today, but I'll read from the New York Times. Here we go. President Trump is demanding that the Justice Department pay him about $230 million in compensation for the federal investigations into him, according to people familiar with the matter, who added that any settlement might ultimately be approved by senior department officials who defended him or those in his orbit.
Oh,
the situation has no parallel in American history, as Trump, a presidential candidate, was pursued by federal law enforcement and eventually won election, taking over the very government that must now review his claims. Trump was charged with 4 felonies in connection with his attempt to overthrow the government. He used his vast wealth to keep the courts busy, to draw proceedings out so he never faced justice, and then his hand-picked and appointed justices delivered him immunity, and it worked. He walked free, he got elected, and now he wants to be repaid out of the U.S. Treasury, out of our collective money for that.
God.
You cannot put a price on vanity, unless, of course.
So that is what I think he's speed running, trying to enrich himself to maybe, plus all the weird heaven talk. I feel kind of like might be terminal, but I also think he's like, oh, I could just get away with all of this now, and there's no one here to stop me. What are they gonna do? I'm gonna take them to court, and it's gonna go on forever, and then I'll eventually win. Like, because that's just what it feels like. I don't know. You always think they're gonna die, and then they end up living 100 more years. The worst people in history always live forever.
And that is why 7 million people took to the streets last weekend in more than 2,500 communities with this very simple, straightforward message: no kings. There aren't many messages more fundamentally American than that one. It is at the bedrock of our founding, which is why MAGA tried so hard to paint this mass movement as anti-American and radical.
The hate.
Republicans are trying in vain to push this obviously absurd distortion because they desperately want people not to look at what Trump is doing day in, day out. Acting like a king, posting AI videos of himself as a king using a fighter jet to defecate on his subjects.
Okay, I gotta ask, Dorothy, you talk to people outside of the internet and your house. What's the vibe? What's the talk? What are we feeling out on them streets? I need to know. Everybody I talk to is fucking pissed off, but I'm all algorithm in. Sometimes.
No mystery to decipher here. No coded messages or dog whistles. You don't need some graduate degree in semiotics. Donald Trump wants to be
the vibe checker. How are we feeling about like age groups, income? No, like how are people feeling about what like Trump is doing? Like how do they feel in this, like, currently in the state of America?
Be the king of you and tell you what to do and control your life. And he's building his kingly court right now.
So frustrating because he's really breaking everything. More news.
Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, your daily dive into the news. It is Wednesday.
So obviously Gen Z and millennials are pissed, but we lack political power, are losing more and more financial power by the day. Yeah, I know. And I do know. But like, people, want to protest, I guess. Because, like, any Gen X or Boomer making over 150K doesn't give a shit since it doesn't affect them yet. How many are there that make that much money anymore? I feel like that number decreases every day. I mean, I did outside the obviously not all people of Gen act that way. Yeah, obviously. I understand. That's like a sample size you're giving me. I didn't think you were giving me verbatim. South Jersey outside Philly, it's high, and outside New York City, yeah, that's fair. Like right around the belt. I just, I heard a lot of people didn't want to go to the protest because like they were like, oh, this is lib shit. This is backed by Hillary Clinton. This is backed by an Israeli group. And like, I just wish you could like put that aside for like 5 minutes. Like, forget who organized it. Take advantage of the moment you were handed. If you are given the stage, use it. Use your voice, use your power. And instead, I got New Jersey DSA telling me no, we voted no because we don't want to be affiliated with them. Fuck off. And like, I don't know. I just get more people to protest. I want to get a general strike, but I don't know. I know that the mayor of Chicago is calling for a general strike.
Day, and there is a lot to talk about, starting with this. Let's talk about this Graham Plattner controversy. Right? And if you don't know Plattner, he's a Democratic candidate in Maine's Senate race. He's kind of blown up online as of late, has raised millions and millions of dollars, but he's now found himself in a predicament. And it stems from this video that's now been widely seen from the Pod Save America podcast. And in it, you can see he has a tattoo, and it looks a lot like a Totenkopf for a death's head. Yes, technically, the death's head has existed in German military traditions for much longer than the Nazis, but ever since World War II and its use among SS divisions, it's been exclusively associated with them. And with that, you have Plattner claiming that he got this tattoo back in 2007 while in the Marine Corps and on leave in Croatia, and that one night he got drunk and decided to get a skull and crossbones tattoo without ever realizing that the one that he got was, or at the very least is, very similar to the Nazi symbol. With him also claiming that he only recently learned about the resemblance, made plans to get it removed, and that also despite multiple government agencies taking a look at it. So for example, he joined the Army and they check all tattoos for any possible hate symbols, and apparently they didn't have any issue with it. With Plattner also adding there, I also passed a full background check to receive a security clearance to join the ambassador to Afghanistan security detail. And with all of that, as of yesterday, it appears that he has gotten the tattoo covered up, with him telling reporters going to a tattoo removal place is going to take a while. I wanted this thing off my body. And so you have all of that's playing out, but also it's not the only thing that's been playing out, because it seems like whoever is doing the opposition research here has been doing their job. Because in addition to the tattoo situation, there's also been a controversy around his old Facebook and Reddit posts. Posts and or questions around Black people's tipping habits, mocking rural Americans, and dismissing military sexual assaults. And regarding that first thing, he said on Pod Save America,
I was legitimately asking the question. I mean, that was the point of the thread, was to ask the question. Amusingly enough, I remember this time when I had first started bartending, and then I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was Black, who was a bartender, who did a great job of walking me through structural injustice and the fact of feelings of lack of agency. There were a whole bunch of reasons, and after that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes absolutely perfect sense. It was certainly not meant as a malicious thing.
With Plattner later adding, that one, I must say, I was legitimately curious. Right, and that is, you had Plattner trying to explain his past comments, saying they were made during a dark time in his life after leaving the Army, and he was still suffering the effects of PTSD. But also regarding his past and who he is now, you had him telling the AP, I don't look at this as a liability. I look at this as a life that I have lived, a journey that has been difficult, that has been full of struggle, that has also gotten me to where I am today. And I'm very proud of who I am. And all in all, this has been a very interesting situation to watch play out, because depending on where you go online, vastly different reactions. Some saying they outright don't buy his story, they have questions, they're skeptical, some calling for him to back out. One of his biggest critics actually seems to be his former political director, Genevieve McDonald, who claims that Plattner knew what the tattoo was and wrote, Graham has an anti-Semitic tattoo on his chest. He's not an idiot, he's a military history buff. Maybe he didn't know it when he got it, but he got it years ago and he should have had it covered up because he knows damn well what it means. But that also is, you have a lot of people out there believing his story, talking about growth and human change. But as far as how this is going to play out, we'll have to wait to see. Plattner still right now says that he plans to run, and he has the endorsement of Senator Bernie Sanders, at least as of recording this video. Right, and all of this is, of course, it's still primary season, and he's going to be up against two-term Governor Janet Mills. Right, and then whoever wins the primary, they'll go up against Senator Susan Collins. Yeah, for now, we'll have to wait to see how this plays out. And in the meantime, I would really love to know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions here, especially, not limited to, but especially if you live in Maine. Because that's the
I don't know how to process that one, because like my whole thing has been like, we have to accept that people change. And then another part of me is like, I feel like I've seen that tattoo in every tattoo shop. And then that's like it. That's like, I'm not trying to make excuses. I just wish I kind of knew more. I guess I have to watch that Pod Save America episode.
the big thing about elections. Really, it's only your opinion in this specific situation that matters. The rest, it might affect like who or who isn't donating, public conversation, but that's noise, that's dollars, and then there's the vote. And so right now, I'm very interested to see what polls might say in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. But then next up, we've got to talk about RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again movement. Again, because it sparked a lot of debate and focus at the federal level, but maybe even more substantial as far as impact, it could be on the state level. And I say that as and because there's this AP investigation that found more than 400 pieces of anti-science legislation being introduced in state houses across the country this year alone. We're talking about legislation based on conspiracy theories like fluoride in drinking water being used to poison the population, pasteurization making milk less nutritious and only really benefiting the dairy industry, and vaccines killing people. And of those 400 plus, anti-vax bills were the most common. About 350 pieces of legislation that were introduced came at vaccines from different angles. Things like creating the criminal offense of vaccine harm, requiring blood banks to test for evidence of vaccinations, and instituting a 48-hour vaccine waiting period, just to name a few things. Now that said, most of these bills, they haven't taken hold. Only 26 of those have been adopted in 11 different states. But that also doesn't mean that there aren't people at risk in places where herd immunity is compromised. Right in there, you had the AP pointing to 8-year-old Liam Dahlberg of Indiana, who died from a vaccine-preventable disease earlier this year. And according to his parents, Liam was vaccinated against HIB, but the other kids in his community weren't. Or because the HIB vaccine is not required for kids entering public schools in Indiana. And even doctors saying Liam, who was particularly vulnerable because of his severe asthma, likely picked up HIB from an unvaccinated kid, but then causing his brain to swell and then killing him less than 2 days after he complained of a headache. And with that, you had Liam's father, Eric, saying, "I thought having the vaccines would protect our children. Unfortunately, it did not, because other kids, other adults need to be vaccinated as well in order for it to work." And so now you have these parents having to grieve the loss of their son while also ensuring that their other children, one of whom also has severe asthma, remain safe in a county with low immunization rates. And with that, you had Liam's mom, Ashley, saying, "There's no pain that is worse than the pain of losing a child. I do not and can't live through the loss of another." Though again, this is not just about vaccines. AP also found 70 pieces of legislation proposing a ban on fluoride in public drinking water, as well as expanding access to raw milk. And again, only a few of those have taken hold, but there is still potential for causing serious harm. In the case of raw milk, you see things like a California mom buying some for her toddler after seeing a wellness influencer share a video of RFK Jr. taking shots of it. And then after looking around online, she said she found a homesteader selling what they called clean and tested raw goat's milk. Within her daughter, Brooklyn, being hospitalized and nearly dying after drinking it, suffering 3 cardiac arrests and winding up on dialysis and a ventilator before turning a corner. And even now, this little girl, she has high blood pressure and walks with a limp. And so with that, you had Brooklyn's mom saying that making raw milk more available is dangerous. Saying, quote, "You're going to have the average mom like me that thinks they've done their research, think they're doing something to help their baby and end up hurting their baby." Right? And with all this, the organizations and the people pushing these causes, they can often be traced back to RFK Jr. himself. You have most of the bills also being supported by at least one of 4 national groups connected to him. Where with those 4 being Make America Healthy Again, Action, Stand for Health Freedom, the National Vaccine Information Center, and the Weston A. Price Foundation. And many of their arguments rely on the premise of staying healthy naturally and rejecting the idea that these proposed laws are based on conspiracy theories. But again, that's in the face of the extensive scientific evidence contradicting their causes. Where vaccines have saved the lives of more than 150 million people since 1974. You've got millions of foodborne illnesses being prevented by the pasteurization process, and fluoride in drinking water has caused a dramatic decrease in cavities since 1945. And of course, that's not to also disregard or cast away the conversation around levels. But what we are now seeing is the blatant disregard and even condemnation of decades of established research, and it's exactly why these are being called anti-science laws. Right? And the growing spread of these anti-science laws has prompted serious concern in many experts, including Devin Burghardt, with Devin being the president and executive director of the Institute for Research and Education on Human Rights, saying, "The march of conspiracy thinking from the margins to the mainstream, now guiding public policy, should be a wake-up call for all Americans. People are literally going to die from it as a result." With this being legislation, being turned into law, I mean, we're starting to see states funnel taxpayer money into what's being fueled largely by conspiracy theories. And some of the things that you're seeing is like in Florida, for example, it was just announced that part of their research money that's going to go towards funding the study of ivermectin as a cancer treatment option. Right? And that despite the fact that oncologists and medical experts say there isn't evidence that ivermectin is effective to treat cancer in humans yet. Right? And ivermectin, it became a huge talking point during the pandemic, with the driving voice behind it at the time being Joe Rogan. And actually now the continued discussion about it, this time in reference to cancer, can also be attributed to Rogan. I mean, you literally had Governor DeSantis's wife saying, "Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he was talking about people people that he was friends with, and they overcame stage 4 cancer. We should look at it. We should look at the benefits of it. We shouldn't just speculate and guess. In the episode that she's referring to there, it got nearly 12 million views on YouTube and countless more in clips across the internet. And that is, if you don't know, Gibson's become kind of a big name among fringe medical groups and social media influencers touting ivermectin as a cancer treatment. And there I'll say, well, there have been some studies showing that ivermectin could maybe have anti-cancer effects. You've got experts saying that it is very far off from the grand cure claims that are being made. And so you've got oncologists questioning whether or not this is a reasonable use of Florida taxpayer dollars in light of other public health priorities. Right, with, for example, Otis Brawley, a professor of oncology at Johns Hopkins University, saying, the shame is there are probably 36 compounds that I can name right now that have scientific reason why we think they might be useful in the treatment of cancer, and we do not have the money to do the research to assess those drugs. Or with the mindset being, because ivermectin is such a big part of the conversations that are being pushed, it's getting more focused despite probably not being the best option. But hey, all that said, the kind of long and short of it is there's just a lot more going on than I think a lot of people realize. And then there's more news we're going to dive into in a minute, but first let me say, fall's here. Sweaters, football, and pretending we love the taste of pumpkin in literally everything. And as the air, it's cool enough, my schedule's not. And that, it's one of the reasons I'm leaning on HelloFresh, today's sponsor and America's #1 choice for home cooking. At HelloFresh, they've doubled their menu with over 100 meal options every week. We're talking heartier portions, new global
I liked HelloFresh, but then I found out they were anti-union. But their Thanksgiving dinner's pretty
recipes and seasonal dishes designed by actual chefs. And the food, fresh, high protein, and loaded with seasonal produce and 2 or more veggies per meal. So you can pretend that you're being healthy while devouring something that actually tastes great. I mean, 91% of customers say they feel healthier eating HelloFresh, and 9 out of 10 say dinner's more delicious. And I mean, they have steak and seafood recipes every week at no extra cost, with 3 times more seafood options than before. And again, that's steak, seafood, no extra cost. It's awesome. Also, this is a me thing. I appreciate that everything comes pre-measured. It makes me feel like I actually know what I'm doing. It's a main thing. HelloFresh is my move. I think you should try it too, especially because the best way to
It does make a lot of plastic. There's a lot of waste from HelloFresh.
cook just got better. So go to HelloFresh.com/DeFranco10FM or scan the QR code now to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. That's 1 per box with active subscription, and free meals applied as discount on the first box. New subscribers only, varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/DeFranco10FM to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. But then next up in the news, Donald Trump wants to pay himself $230 million with taxpayer money. And specifically, he's demanding that the Justice Department pay him that amount as compensation for criminally investigating him in the past.
He wants taxpayer money during a government shutdown. Oh my God. There's gotta be a mutiny. There's absolutely going to be a mutiny. He's paying himself. He's paying himself from taxpayer funds.
And the people who get to decide whether or not he gets that money, they're some of his closest allies and only now have their jobs because of him. But with that said, this all goes back to before Donald Trump became president again, when he reportedly submitted 2 complaints known as administrative claims. So those are technically not lawsuits, but if the Justice Department rejects one, the person who filed the claim will often then decide to bring a lawsuit. Though in this case, it seems unlikely to come to that. But as far as the details, Trump submitted the first claim in late 2023, seeking damages for a number of reported violations of his rights, including the FBI and Special Counsel investigation into Russian election meddling and alleged connections to his 2016 campaign. He then submitted the second complaint in the summer of 2024, accusing the FBI of violating his privacy by searching Mar-a-Lago for classified documents 2 years earlier. And he also accused the DOJ of engaging in what he called malicious prosecution by charging him with mishandling those records after he left office. But of course now the DOJ is Trump's DOJ. And according to the department's manual, settlements of claims of more than $4 million must be approved by the Deputy Attorney General or Associate Attorney General. And the current Deputy Attorney General is Todd Blanche, who, if you do not know, not only served as Trump's lead criminal defense lawyer, but also said at his confirmation hearing that his attorney-client relationship with Trump wasn't ending. Right? And then the person who would be considered the current Associate Attorney General, that is the chief of the department's civil division, Stanley Woodward Jr., and he represented Trump's co-defendant in the classified documents case, and he also represented a number of other Trump allies, including current FBI Director Kash Patel. But despite all that, the history and the connection, a Justice Department spokesperson reportedly would not say whether Blanche or Woodward would recuse themselves from overseeing the case, saying instead, in any circumstance, all—
That looks like AI Josh Hutcherson. Is that really a person? Like, I feel like I'm looking at AI Peter Malark.
officials of the Department of
It's
Justice
freaking me
follow the
out.
guidance of career ethics officials. However, big thing, Attorney General Pam Bondi, she fired the department's top ethics advisor back in July. And so now you've got people like one ethics professor at Pace University saying, what a travesty. The ethical conflict is just so basic and fundamental, you don't need a law professor to explain it. And then adding, and then to have people in the Justice Department decide whether his claim should be successful or not, and these are the people who serve him deciding whether he wins or loses. It's bizarre and almost too outlandish to believe. And with all of this, you have Trump, if not giving specifics, at least acknowledging his claims for compensation, saying,
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity.
No, he's not.
Any money. But look, what they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slavadopoulos had to pay us a lot of money, and they already paid. You know, they paid me a lot of money because what they did was wrong.
But then also, in addition to that, he seemingly acknowledged the inherent conflict of interest here, even admitting that it would ultimately be his decision.
Now, with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And, you know, that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
Now, with all that said, you know, it is unclear how serious Trump really is about getting this money. But also, I'll say, notably, if or when he does, we might not even know about it because the Justice Department doesn't specifically require a public announcement when settlements are made for administrative claims. Isn't that so fun? Isn't that so cool? Honestly, at this point, I'm almost just impressed. Who knew that everything that I thought I understood about politics was just being propped up by popsicle sticks? But then next up in the news, Trump's guy, Paul Ingrassia, is out, but he's now officially withdrawn his nomination to lead the Office of Special Counsel after he told Republicans over text that he had a Nazi streak, among other things. Because like we talked about yesterday, that was just one of the controversial and racist text messages that he sent other Republicans in a group chat that was leaked to Politico by one of the people in the chat. So again, as we talked about, you had his lawyer both trying to frame his comments as a joke while also suggesting that they might be fake. But seemingly, you had a lot of people just not believing that, including multiple key Republican senators who announced that they would vote against Ingrassia's confirmation, with some even suggesting that the White House should pull his nomination in the wake of the leak. That is, of course, not necessary since you had Ingrassia announcing on X that he was withdrawing ahead of a now canceled Senate hearing on his nomination that had been set for tomorrow. Writing, unfortunately, I do not have enough Republican votes at this time, and adding, I appreciate the overwhelming support that I have received throughout the process and will continue to serve President Trump in this administration to make America great again. And that last part is important here because you have many wondering how exactly Ingrassia will continue to serve now that his nomination's been pulled. Because if you didn't know, while going through the confirmation process to lead the Office of Special Counsel, Ingrassia has been working as a White House liaison with the Department of Homeland Security. And at least as of recording, we've seen numerous reports saying that Ingrassia still has his liaison job. And so far, the White House has refused to respond to questions from multiple outlets about whether he'll be staying on in that role. With the question seeming to be if his Nazi streak problem is just too much for the Senate, but that doesn't mean it's too much to work in the Trump administration. But then next up in the news, Arizona's Attorney General is now suing House Speaker Mike Johnson for refusing to swear in a Democrat
Every single story he's done tonight has been about the Trump administration.
who was elected nearly a month ago. This is now the latest update and something we've had to cover several times now because Johnson is still not sworn in Adelita Greenhalgh. And that after she won a special election to fill a vacant seat back in September. And of course you have Johnson claiming, well, he just can't swear her in because the House isn't in session, but that's also despite the fact that there isn't any rule that says that. And in fact, Johnson himself swore in 2 Republicans while the House was out of session earlier this year. And Greenhalgh, well, she believes that Johnson is intentionally dragging his feet because she would be the final signature on a petition that would force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. In that petition, it would allow a bipartisan majority of members to circumvent Johnson and his Republican leadership who have repeatedly tried to prevent a full floor vote on this. And what we're seeing is that after threatening to take legal action, Arizona AG Chris Mays has now officially filed a lawsuit against the House Speaker, arguing that Johnson doesn't actually have the power to prevent Greenhalgh from taking office and asking a judge to allow someone else to swear her in if Johnson just won't. Writing, by withholding the oath and the office that comes with it, the Speaker has unlawfully interfered with Ms. Greenhalgh's constitutional right to take office and the state's right to the number of representatives provided for by law. They're then specifically going on to accuse Johnson of actively stripping the people of Arizona of one of their seats in Congress and disenfranchising the voters of Arizona's 7th congressional district in the process. Now, all that said, Johnson, for his part, has denounced the lawsuit, calling it, quote, patently absurd and claiming that Mays has no jurisdiction. And during a press conference earlier this week, he repeated his claim that Mays' legal threats are just a publicity stunt, with him also seemingly trying to blame Greenhalgh for the fact that her constituents are not receiving help and representation.
Instead of doing TikTok videos, she should be serving her constituents.
How?
She can be
How?
taking their calls. She can be directing them,
How?
trying to help them through the crisis that the Democrats have created by shutting down the government.
Though arguably, that's a pretty stupid comeback. Right? Like, that's the point Grijalva has been trying to make the entire time. She cannot do her job as a sworn member of Congress because he literally will not let her become a sworn member of Congress. And with
Yeah.
that, you had Grijalva hitting back at Johnson, saying that she doesn't have a budget right now because she hasn't been sworn in, so she can't open an office in her district to serve her constituents.
But respectfully, there's so much that cannot be done until I am sworn in. And so every moment that passes that I'm not able to provide constituent services or be a voice for Arizona, I can't bring the issues forward that they sent me here to do. And so while, we're getting a lot of attention for not being sworn in, I'd rather get the attention for doing my job.
And to that point, you had A.G. Mays also saying that Johnson's actions here are causing real direct harm to the people of Grijalva's district, and saying, among other things, that she hasn't been able to help flood victims or people who need assistance with Social Security
Yeah,
and veterans
that's
benefits. But for
awful.
now, we'll have to wait to see what happens. I don't know what Johnson's end game here is. I don't know if he's hoping, he's like, Congress is old, maybe someone will die and they'll lose a vote. Because it really does appear that Grijalva will eventually be sworn in, and when she does, the Epstein files will have to go to the floor for a vote. And actually, you even had Johnson himself seemingly admitting this, with him telling reporters yesterday that he won't block the vote. Which I know the whole point of everything is they're having to go around him right now, but that is pretty notable for him to say. Because there's been a lot of speculation that Johnson would try to pull out all the stops to prevent the measure from actually going to the floor. But again, words are words, actions are actions, and we'll have to see how this plays out. And then we'll get right back into the news in just a minute, but first, your phone has basically become a side hustle for international crime rings, but thanks to our sponsor, NordVPN, they've got your digital back. Right, a new report found that Chinese criminal networks have raked in over $1 billion through massive smishing text scams. Right, fake toll fines, fake delivery fees, all designed to trick people into handing over their payment information. And that stolen data gets funneled into digital wallets and used to buy goods shipped overseas. And these scams, they're not random. They're part of a $1 billion global fraud machine.
They're not random. They're Amazon.
Just keeps growing every time someone clicks a bad link. But Nord's Threat Protection Pro, it blocks phishing sites, malware, and shady links before they even touch your device. Its encryption shields everything you do online, from hackers, ISPs, and digital snoops trying to spy on your traffic. Add a double VPN, a kill switch, and a strict no logs policy, and you've got
What I want to do for a brownie right now, man. Holy shit. I'd settle for pudding, but oh my god. A nice warm, corner piece. Oh.
real security that doesn't depend on luck. Basically, NordVPN is your personal digital bouncer, keeping scammers and creeps out before they even get near you. So yeah, update your phone, ignore those urgent text links, and protect your connection with NordVPN. Just scan that QR code or go to nordvpn.com/Phil for a huge discount on a 2-year plan, 4 extra months free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/.
Pudding would hit so hard right now. Like a whipped mousse. Yeah. Oh. I have cherries inside too. I have whole milk, so I could do whipped cream. I don't have enough time though. It takes 5 minutes for the pudding to set. While the pudding's setting, I could make the whipped cream. I don't know. I don't think I have the time to make it right now. I want to.
/Phil. Stay safe, stay private. But then next up today, let's talk about the loop.
I'm gonna go get a brownie. I'm a BRB. I hate you.
Because the museum's now finally open after thieves managed to steal over $100 million worth of jewels on Sunday. And this heist, it was a historic one, and it's also raised major concerns about how this could happen at one of the most famous art museums in the world. Because TLDR on how it went down, the thieves were fast, efficient, and they pulled this stunt off in broad daylight. So what happened is at around 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, just after the museum opened, a group of 4 parked a truck under the window of the Apollo Gallery, and then, using an electric ladder that was attached to the vehicle, to go up to the balcony where they used power tools to break into the glass windows. With them also reportedly using those tools to threaten guards and smash cases once they were inside. And then by 9:34, they were in the gallery, and by 9:38, they were exiting through the windows again to escape, with them hauling off on scooters. And ultimately, this heist was less than 8 minutes, and only around 4 minutes were spent inside the museum walls. And again, remember, this is all while the museum was open, so there were people who heard and even witnessed some of what went down. With this being such a huge story there and getting so much international attention, you had French President Emmanuel Macron calling this theft an attack on French heritage and adding, "We will recover the works and the perpetrators will be brought to justice. Everything is being done everywhere to achieve this under the leadership of the Paris prosecutor's office. And while we're seeing all this play out, one of the big things people are talking about is security. Because these people, they got a lot of good stuff, including a bunch of France's crown jewels. Right? Things like a tiara with over 200 pearls and 2,000 diamonds, a sapphire tiara and necklace set, parts of Napoleon's emerald wedding gift set, and other pieces with tons of precious diamonds. Things that you might imagine would be heavily protected, especially since, they were just kind of a hop, skip, and jump away from the museum's most prized possession, the Mona Lisa. But obviously, there were major gaps in the security, and a leaked report from a French auditor actually found that there's a wing of the Louvre where 75% of the area is not covered by security cameras. And actually, in the wing where this heist happened, which again is also home to the Mona Lisa, has 1/3 of the rooms where they don't have surveillance cameras. So I will say a big thing there is that the room that was targeted in this heist does have cameras. But still, many think this highlights a pretty obvious security flaw at a major museum. All while we're seeing reports that there were staffing shortages that had allegedly gone unaddressed for years, especially among security guards. And reports that unions had been trying to warn that the constant renovations, repairs, events, and more just taking place at the museum, it made it difficult to monitor and spot suspicious activity. Though this also, I will say, as some have argued, that fully securing the Louvre, it's not an easy thing. But it's a very massive and very old building, and with that, you had the French culture minister saying, when the Louvre Museum was designed, it wasn't designed to welcome 10 million visitors or prepare for these new forms of criminality. But still, you've many saying that the fact that this happened, it's an embarrassment. Or with, for example, the country's justice minister is saying, we failed. People were able to park a furniture hoist in the middle of Paris, get people up it in several minutes to grab priceless jewels, and saying this paints a deplorable image of France. Right then with that, you had the museum's director getting grilled by the French Senate today. She said that the museum's alarms worked well, but did acknowledge that security camera coverage is insufficient, including on the site of the crime, and saying the only camera installed is directed westward and therefore did not cover the balcony involved in the break-in, and adding there are some perimeter cameras, but they are aging. They're then also calling the incident a failure and took responsibility for it. And then, as far as the investigation, the manhunt for these people, it's still ongoing. With the reported that there are 60 investigators on the case, and some reports saying that there is DNA that's being looked at and analyzed. Which actually brings us to something almost as valuable as what was taken, which is what the robbers left behind. Because in their escape, they actually dropped a crown outside of the museum, which has since been recovered, though it was damaged. And the police also saying it looked like the thieves intended on setting their truck and some of the other items on fire, but they were chased away by security before they could actually do it. And then as far as, what are they going to do with the stuff they stole, there is an obvious guess. Because they went after the jewels and not the art for possibly a good reason. Because with a painting, it can't be easily resold without it being recognized. But with jewels, that's a different story. But as one art crime professor explained, they stole items that can be easily taken apart, melted down, recut, and sold on the legitimate market, with it being very difficult to trace them. Though, of course, maybe there is a chance that the robbers have an interest in historical or artistic value of these pieces. But again, most experts right now think that they're just going to sell those jewels. Because even though cutting them down, it lessens their value, that's still a ton of money. But then finally, today, as we wind things down, I want to end with congratulations and one more thing. Starting with a big congrats to John T., a winner of SeatGeeks Weekly.
Thank you, Phil. Asking about cooking. Got a corner piece and an ice cream bar. Why are you the worst? You know what? What, Blue? Enjoy your brownie. Or I hope it's... I'm pissy tonight.
We are now 3 weeks into the government shutdown.
That's him.
Still
That's him
no
in the Discord. Watch. Yep. Yeah, that's him in the Discord. How did I know? How did I know? I got a no dice on that. That's fine. All right. Are we ready to do something fun? Wait, you know what? I will go inside and get a snack. I don't want to do something fun and not have a snack. So, here's some... I'll be right back. Mouse go? Oh, it froze. Oh, God. Oh, no. Please don't crash. banned Blue and I broke the stream. My God, it's not even like nothing's been at the time.
Thank you.